which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now ask Council Member Frank Cooper to lead us in the preamble to the Lumbee Constitution.
In accordance with the inherent power of self-government of the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina, the tribe adopts the Constitution for the purposes of establishing a tribal government structure, preserving for all time the Lumbee way of life and community, promoting educational, cultural, social, and economic well-being of Lumbee people, and securing justice and freedom for Lumbee people.
You may be seated. We will now ask our Secretary, Councilmember Wendy Moore, for roll call.
Carvecus Barfield. Sharon Hunt. Here. Janie McFarland.
Here.
Ted Woodell.
Here.
Wendy Moore here. Jared Lowry. Larry Chavis.
Here.
Douglas Locklear. Reginald Oxendine.
Here.
Jan Lowry. Alvin Mercer. Corbin Eddings.
Here.
Dewey McNeil.
Here.
Marshall Locklear. Here. Frank Cooper.
Here.
Annie Taylor. Michael Chavis. Ricky Burnett. Terry Hunt.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Benny Hunt had mentioned that he is at the hospital with his spouse. I'd ask that he be excused this evening.
So move.
Moving forward, one thing I did forget to do that I definitely meant to do, I wanted to welcome and thank our Chairman Harvey Godwin and the First Lady, Ms. Godwin. Thank you for being with us this evening. Administrator Dr. Porter, our Supreme Court Judge, Mr. Joshua Malcolm, Administrative Court, Mr. Roddy Nichols, and a former senior Ms. Lumbee, Ms. Mabel Moses, and any others that are with us, everyone who's with us this evening, welcome. We thank you for joining us. I'll now read the Tribal Council Ethics Statement. In accordance with the Ethics and Conflict of Interest Ordinance 2010-031201, it's the duty of every council member to avoid both conflicts of interest and the appearance of a conflict of interest with regard to any matter before the council today. Does any council member have a known conflict of interest or any perceived conflict of interest with respect to any matter coming before the council today? If so, please refrain from participation in these particular deliberations during the meeting. I now ask for a review and approval of the agenda.
Mr. Speaker,
Ms. McFarland.
I would like to add CLLO 2019-03-2101 back to the agenda. It was taken off and it was added and then taken off.
As this was an ordinance that I believe we hung 20-some days ago, I would ask that we continue to leave that ordinance hanging. I believe our Constitution states 30 days to allow for members to review that. So I choose not to add that at this time.
Mr. Speaker, that ordinance has been vetoed and it is dead at this present time. We're not asking to take it down, we're just asking to add it to the agenda for either a failure or override.
Yes, ma'am. I don't believe we can take action on an ordinance that's currently hanging. However, if you'd like to add it to the agenda, we could do that with a 2/3 majority vote. Any discussion? Roll call. Do we have a second on the motion to add that to the agenda?
I second.
Roll call vote, please.
Carvecus Barfield. Sharon Hunt. Janie McFarland.
Yes.
Ted Woodill.
Yes.
Wendy Moore, yes. Jared Lowry.
Yes.
Larry Chavis.
Yes.
Douglas Locklear. Reginald Oxendine.
Yes.
Jan Lowry.
Yes.
Alvin Mercer. Corbin Eddings.
No.
Dewey McNeil.
No.
Marshall Locklear.
Yes.
Frank Cooper.
No.
Annie Taylor.
Yes.
Michael Chavis. Terry Hunt.
No.
14 yes, 4 no, 3 absent. The motion carries.
If everyone would, at section 11, committee reports, after Finance, Health and Human Services, next would you place Economic Development? And Ms. McFarland, could you repeat that ordinance number, please?
CLLO 2019-0321-01, Lumbee Tribe Holdings, Inc., Financial Quarterly Report Requirements.
Now, you know I cannot write that fast. You took shorthand, I did. Repeat,
You want me
please.
to?
Just give me the number.
Okay. CLLO 2019-0321-01. You want the title?
No.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes. Ms.
will we get
Locklear.
some copies of that so we can look at it?
Yes, that's why I placed it at the bottom of the agenda, to give Ms. Belinda time to get copies to us beforehand. One
Thank
other
you.
housekeeping item I did fail to mention, as we are broadcasting live, if you would, now more than ever, make sure we're speaking into our mics this evening. Next on the agenda is review and approval of the March Tribal Council minutes and actions.
Mr. Speaker, motion to approve the review of the minutes of action.
We have a
I'll
motion
second.
to approve. We have a second.
A second.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Carvecas Barfield.
Yes.
Sharon Hunt.
Yes.
Janie Oxendine
Yes.
McFarland. Ted Woodill.
Yes.
Wendy Moore, yes. Jared Lowry.
Yes.
Larry Chavis.
Yes.
Douglas Locklear. Reginald Oxendine.
Yes.
Jan Lowry.
Yes.
Alvin Mercer.
Yes.
Corbin Eddings.
Yes.
Dewey McNeil. Marshall Locklear.
Yes.
Frank Cooper.
Yes.
Annie Taylor.
Yes.
Michael Chavis.
Yes.
Terry Hunt.
Yes.
Unanimous. It passes.
Next, we have a presentation, Brett Haley with 4 directions.
My name is Donna Siemens. I'm with 4 Directions. I'm a Rosebud Sioux Indian from the Rosebud Sioux Indian Reservation, South Dakota. 4 Directions has worked with many tribes across the country for many years, like the Standing Rock, the Navajo Nation, Paiute, Shoshone, Native Americans, just to name a few. We work to make voting equal for Native Americans, and we work with tribes to help get their members out to get out the vote. So, and I'll turn it over to my colleague.
Thank you, Tribal Council, and thank you for the opportunity to present before you this evening. We've thrown a lot of documents your way, but the important stuff, and we want to be brief with our time, is we've developed at least a draft voter engagement. So we, as Donna said, we help get out the vote for tribes. We've done that across a lot of the country, and we help fight for equal access to all forms of voting and trying to make it as accessible and as comfortable for tribal members to vote. That means not only not having to go very, very far in some of the places in the West, but that there are tribal members on the other side of that last 3 feet of the election process that we try to help recruit and get tribal members working as election judges and the like. So to that end, we put together a plan after doing some deep dives relative to the Board of Elections websites, following, of course, the North Carolina 9 special election and the problems that happened that led up to that. And so with that involved, wanted to lay out a draft proposal, if you will. One, that you develop a candidate questionnaire. Basically, ask these candidates, in 2020 it could be any candidate for any office, ask them questions, basically give them a written test on how they are on Lumbee issues. Then follow up with an oral test, have them come and talk in a candidate forum and view them, being able to look them in the eye, look at their body language, be able to put them on live stream to all the tribal membership. And then from that oral test and from that written test, go ahead and develop a candidate scorecard that you provide to Lumbee households on how that candidate performed and whether they're going to be a friend or a foe once they're in office. Then to the second part, in getting folks on the other side of the election desk. In North Carolina, their voter registration ends 25 days before an election. However, then there's a one-step process, and I'm sure you already know that, where for 17 days of the calendar, about 13 business days, there's an opportunity to register to vote and cast a ballot at the very same time. And that's an incredibly efficient way to get out the vote because you're not trying to find out whether the registration went through or not. You're doing it all in real time and at that center. However, working to get the candidate, or rather to get the county and the counties to hire tribal members that we help recruit and train for that kind of process, and then they go through the candidate or the county training and have them work as election staff. Now, we've done this very successfully in other places, and it makes a difference. So the idea would be to recruit and train tribal members that want to pursue that, and then put them in the pipeline with the county and make that formal request of the county to consider the folks that are on the Lumbee list to come in for training and to work as election officials at that one-stop center. And so taking Robeson County, for example, there's just 2 places, and one, there won't be any opportunity to have tribal members. That's at the Board of Elections office in Lumberton. And that's open from 8:15 in the morning to 5:15 every day during that early vote process. The office in Pembroke is at the library, and it's open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So an awfully good opportunity to get folks engaged even after that voter registration process is over. And that's where we would want to be trying to make sure Lumbee tribal members were working that one-stop center, or at least a portion of the staff be that. And then going to an election day. So precinct staffing is a bit different. So there's 39 precincts in Robeson. We haven't got memorized some of the other counties in Lumbee territory, how many precincts there are, but there's 39 in Robeson County. And Donna and I, we went to the Board of Elections yesterday in Lumberton, took about a half hour with the long-term staffer there and just asked questions, make sure that what we had seen on the internet and looking up statutes and whatnot comported with how things actually work. And so for precinct staffing, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, the political parties choose who they want as an election judge, which seems pretty weird that you would turn it over to partisans to decide who the election judge is going to be. So to that end, the idea would be to recruit and train Lumbee members for election day as well, and especially in the precincts that either have a Lumbee majority, a Lumbee plurality, or the most, the biggest voting block, or at least the biggest of the minority blocks that we're trying to get Lumbee tribal members working the election day, and urging the Republican Party to hire Republican Lumbee members to work those precinct election judges, and for the Democratic Party to do the same. We operate as a nonpartisan. We always have. We've sued Democratic secretaries of state and Republican secretaries of state and Democratic county commissioners and Republican county commissioners and election clerks of both parties. Unfortunately, sometimes equal access is equal suppression from both parties. Then moving on, for voter registration, one of the things we've done elsewhere is request satellite offices. And one of the things that looked like would make sense is that there be a official voter registration office staffed by county officials, that is Lumbee tribal members that have been hired by the county, and we're even willing to fund that. We've done that before, and it takes away the budget issue that, gosh, we just can't afford it. And that would be to do that during the last 30 days, calendar days of the voter registration period. And the reason to have it be an official office is so that the training is there, that there aren't mistakes made on registration. Too often when registration drives happen, the error rates sometimes run as much as 50, 60%, because it's not an easy process, and it's tough to make sure you haven't made any mistakes. Now, then the rest of the kind of the voter GOTV, some traditional, voter registration, encouraging folks to get to that registration office. Even before that, trying to get out the word at community events and whatnot in advance of that election. That's certainly part of it. So communications, voter registration, awareness, and ultimately a traditional get out the vote that is not just knocking on doors and calling folks and saying go vote. What we have done time and again, it's to hire as many folks that want to work that the funds are available for. And we're not asking the tribal council for money at all. We can help bring in those resources from the outside. And so it's not just to hire folks that have cars that we pay to be the transportation force. It's also the folks that are helping fill those cars, and we're giving folks a ride to the poll. And as we often joke, the most effective message we found in Indian country is not go vote for this candidate or go vote against that candidate, is auntie, I'm working on this, would you come vote? Would you come now? And so it's trying to make sure that those votes actually get either to the early voting office or to the poll itself on election day. So that's kind of the broader strokes. I did mention resources, and we're, again, not ever going to ask money from tribes that we work with for GOTV money. There are wealthier tribes that we've worked with, and I know you had earlier a packet, and actually have the request we've got in front of the Shakopee, Midwakan, and Sioux Community Business Council. They're an extraordinarily successful tribe in Minnesota. They've been investing in Four Directions since 2003. They've been happy with what we've been able to do and keep investing time and again. But in this most recent election cycle, and you've got a bigger packet, it's about 17 pages, front and back. You can read it at your leisure, and certainly encouraged to put it on the tribal website. It gives further background on what we did just last cycle in North Dakota, at Navajo, or the Arizona portion of Navajo, and in Nevada. And we were able to raise, because of some of the things we were doing, on the order of $1.7 million that we spent. And actually, even coming out of that cycle, we helped finance and are currently financing a lawsuit against 3 Arizona counties and the Secretary of State to provide equal access to in-person voter registration, in-person early voting, and have it be in a lot more areas. That's not necessarily the issue here in North Carolina. You don't have 20,000 square miles like Navajo did and have these great distances, but the practical import is the same. It's making sure it's not just that 75 miles extra, it's that last 3 feet, making sure that election process is friendly and open. And with that, I would open it up to questions. We wanted to make sure we stayed within the allotted time.
Any questions at this time? I would like to thank you folks for being here tonight, and definitely like to thank you for the work that you've already done in a number of places. Incidentally, did you say initially Rosebud Sioux, South Dakota?
Yep.
I have a nephew, Rosebud Sioux, grew up on the same reservation. It was great to hear it. It kind of caught my ear initially. I would like to refer this information over to Constitution and Ordinance, if that is the pleasure of the group, if I could get such a motion.
Mr. Speaker, could I make a motion to send to Constitution and Ordinance Committee for review?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Carvecca Barfield.
Yes.
Sharon Hunt.
Yes.
Janie McFarland.
Yes.
Ted Woodell.
Yes.
Wendy Moore, yes. Jared Lowry,
Yes.
Larry Chavis.
Yes.
Douglas Locklear, Reginald Oxendine,
Yes.
Jan Lowry,
Yes.
Alvin Mercer,
Yes.
Corbin Eddings,
Yes.
Dewey McNeil,
Yes.
Marshall Locklear,
Yes.
Frank Cooper,
Yes.
Annie Taylor,
Yes.
Michael Chavis,
Yes.
Terry Hunt.
Yes.
Unanimous, the motion carries.
We did have one question, if we could entertain that at this time.
Of course.
Here, but is there a cost associated with this?
Not for the Lumbee tribe, no. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that was clear. We're not asking you all for any money. We're asking for cooperation because you've got a lot of in-kind things, and it comes down to information and working with Lumbee tribal members so that that's the intangibles. But no, there's no request for money.
In kind is our price tag.
And contact information is included as well?
I believe so, but we'll make sure we're handling.
Dr. Reginald Oxendine is the chair of that Constitution and Ordinance Committee.
Okay.
So if administration would relay Dr. Oxendine's information as well.
Okay,
Questions?
Share that information.
Yes, sir. Thank you, folks, again.
okay, thank you. Oh.
I'm sorry. Ms. Lowry.
I don't have a question. I just want to say that I've seen your table, your booth, and your young people at the NCAI conferences, and was very impressed with your success in recruiting young people to get out and vote, because that seems to be the hardest group sometimes to reach is our youth, and making them understand how important it is to get out and exercise their vote. So I've been impressed as I've been to national conferences and seeing you guys there with your T-shirts, and I'm like, how do I get one of those T-shirts? So,
Well, we'll try to
yeah,
make those very available.
Yeah.
And
You guys have been
I'm glad you
really
brought that
rocking it.
up, Councilwoman. In 2018, the Youth Council at Turtle Mountain, Chippewa literally led a march and a rally, and were shaking their fists at the
Right.
North Dakotans for what they were trying to do. It was very, very innovative and very much, inspiring.
We need to do more with our young folks. We surely do.
Again, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I will pass out everything. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Get one to the chair of the Constitution to do. Right? Okay, yeah. They're over here, I'll let you. Oh, I do it all the time.
At this time, we'll move into the community comments portion of our agenda. For those who may be with us for the first time, either here or streaming live, the time limit for community comments is 3 minutes. We would ask that you, for the privacy rights of members, don't call out any specific individuals' names. And first we have Mr. Kea Little Turtle and Erica Locklear.
Hello. This is Miss Erica Locklear. I'm Kay Little Turtle, and we're over the Lumbee Powwow Dance to the Spring Moon. I just wanted to come out here, and we wanted to personally invite you all to the powwow that's coming up the very first weekend in May, and thank you once again for the support that's been going on for the powwow. Just to tell you a couple of quick things about it, all of you will receive a weekend pass along with a free powwow shirt, and then also there's special parking for all of you when you come out to the powwow right there near the front. Also, we will be having different grand entries over the course of the weekend that I would love if you could be available to come into. It's a great time. Grand entry is, of course, when we would take you out there at the front as a part of our dignitaries and recognize you when all the dancers come in. We are expecting around 400 or so dancers this year for the powwow, around 7 to 8 drum groups that are going to be coming out here. People from all over the country as well as Canada. We will be having a stickball demonstration from the Boys and Girls Club during dinner break on Saturday. That's going to start around 5 o'clock. Also, we will be showcasing another part of the Boys and Girls Club is we have youth drum groups that have started in the Boys and Girls Club, and we will be showcasing a Boys and Girls Club youth drum group out there as well, and that will be happening Saturday. We have many different dance specials that are going on, such as a jingle dress dance special. There's going to be Eastern Woodland category this year, we're really proud of. We're going to be having storytelling going on Saturday night over by the Henry Berry Lowry House. Friday morning will be school day. We're going to have representation from all of our counties coming out for that. We're expecting historic numbers for that. Really, really big turnout. We'll be showcasing everything from powwow style dancing to the longhouse and the newly refurbished wigwam that is out there as well as some more storytelling during school day at the Henry Berry Lowry House. So once again, I just want to say thank you. Come out if you can. We will definitely love to have you out there, and we will honor you in every way possible, and hope to make your time out there quite enjoyable. So thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Ms. Erica. Next, we have a lady that I'm proud to call one of my own out of District 8, Miss Brenda Jacobs.
My name is Brenda Jacobs, and I am from District 8. When it was announced that the tribal council meeting for
Ms. Brenda.
tonight...
Excuse me, Ms. Brenda, if you could bring the mic down a little lower.
When it was announced that the tribal council meeting for tonight was going to be live streamed, I was asked by several members who live outside the county and cannot attend the meeting to express their appreciation to the tribal council. When this issue resurfaced about a year ago, I started attending the Constitution and Ordinance Committee meetings. I could not understand what was taking you so long to approve this issue. Why is it so hard to say yes? For those who know me, know that patience is not a strong trait of mine. And I did express my frustration to the committee members. But my representative would try to reel me in and tell me to be patient. There was a lot of things to consider that I had not thought of, so I tried. The committee was working to make sure that they had all their bases covered so that there would be no problems down the road. The members of the committee are to be commended for their long hours and dedication. The membership would like to say thank you. This issue has been ignored for several years. By approving the live streaming of the meetings, you are saying to the membership that you are listening and you want to fulfill your commitment that you are for transparency. Your decision will open the door to a more engaged and satisfied membership. So once again, we want to give a big shout out to you and thank you for your dedication to the Lumbee tribe.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brenda. Next up, we have our chairman, Mr. Harvey Goblin Jr.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair Eddings. Doing a good job so far. April the 19th, I just want to bring some dates to your attention. I want to personally invite you all. Tomorrow is Good Friday, and for the last few years, we've had a Good Friday prayer service here at the Boys and Girls Club. Well, we originally started in here, and we moved it up to the Boys and Girls Club, and it'll be at 10 a.m. And your own speaker, Ricky Burnett, will be the MC. Reverend Mike Cummins will lead the main prayer, and Mr. Adrian Hammonds will be our youth director. The kids are out of school tomorrow, so we got the Boys and Girls Club's members coming in, the ones in which their parents would allow it, and they will get a message from Mr. Adrian, which is an added addition for this year. We're very excited about it, and there will be refreshments. On April the 24th, I want to remind you again about Kaboom. That's at the Lumbee Tribe Cultural Center. We need 75 volunteers. You don't have to bring your tools, Councilman. They got their own tools. They got their own management. All we need is people to just band together and put the playground in place. And there'll be other volunteers from Blue Cross Blue Shield there, and from Kaboom. So we're very excited about that. And I'd like to thank Ms. Karen Bird and Mr. Buddy Dow for helping us get through this long process. On July 1st is Senior Miss Lumbee pageant at Robinson Community College starting at 6 p.m. And applications are due on May 24th. So all of you go to your districts, please, and just encourage our elders to participate in this. It's a great event for our people, and especially for our elders. July 11th, 12th, and 13th will be Strike at the Wind, which will be held at the Culture Center this year. We're collaborating with UNC Pembroke and the Chancellor and the theater director over there, Jonathan Drehos, and Charlie Lowry and others, and we think we got it put together. So Mr. Corbin Eddings, I'm going to like for you to get involved here and shortly to help us with that as well. Getting back to the powwow, on May the 2nd, on Thursday night before the powwow starts, we'll have law enforcement recognition. We're going to invite Councilman Chavis. We're going to need your help on this as a leader in the State Patrol. And we want to invite all law enforcement, Lumbeeans that are in law enforcement, all branches of law enforcement for our four-county area to come to the Culture Center. We want to do a special smudging and prayer for all the safety of our law enforcement, and to thank for what you do for us, protecting us each day. So I'll be calling out on you tomorrow. May 4th, that Saturday, Reverend Charles Locklear with Morning Star Ministries. He has a Mustang, so he has a Mustang rally. So we're expecting 200 Mustangs, Mustang Sally Day, I guess. But we'll have 200 of them. And the good thing is about all 200 that are bringing their cars in, they're actually paying to come into the event to show their cars. So it's going to be a great day. Last and not least, I want to thank the Tribal Council for your participation and your collaboration and your partnership with the administration to bring about projected tribal enrollment reform. We met and we have some ideas about how we can make the enrollment process better for the Lumbee people. And through your process, by the time we get to the powwow, we should be able to showcase those opinions that we have to the people. So anyone that's enrolled member of the Lumbee tribe brings their membership card, they can offer their opinions about the proposed changes to the reform of the tribal enrollment process. So we're very excited about that. And then after that, you'll go back to your committees and decide how you want to go forward for the people. So God bless you all. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and thank you for the great work you're doing for the Lumbee people.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, happy Easter.
At this time, we'll move. I'm sorry, Ms. Jane.
Go ahead. We didn't catch where the location.
Robinson Community College.
Okay.
At this time, we'll move into our committee reports. First up is Finance, and I'll turn it over to the Finance Committee Chair, Ms. Sharon Hunt.
CLLO 2018-1018-01, it's amendment number 3, and the amendment includes, we received $2,216.40 from the state to be applied to veterans travel. a $600,000 grant under Essential Single Families, which is basically hurricane money, which will be used for Cumberland County only. CSBG, we are adding a part-time male senior solutions transporter at $5,720. Vocational rehabilitation had a projected grant of $519,860, but the actual award amount was only $489,382, which reduced the grant by $30,478. And those were the, one more thing, line item number 8100 was changed to include District 14 under land purchases, which was now be District 2, 4, 10, 13, and 14. And those are the changes for amendment number 3. Start with, whereas the Tribal Council has authority and fiduciary responsibility to ensure compliance with program funding and allocations, the Lumbee Tribal Budget Amendment is to be used to address the following changes, and therefore the Lumbee Tribal Budget is amended as follows to fiscal year October 1, 2018, September the 30th, 2019, and therefore being enacted by the Tribal Council of the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina for the following ordinance cited. As the fiscal year October 1, 2018 to September 30, 2019, Lumbee Tribal Budget Ordinance, subject to all inclusions and provisions.
Coming from a committee that doesn't need a second, is there any discussion? Ms. Lowry.
I have a question. I had a conversation with the tribal administrator, and she explained some things to me about the soft cost under expenses. But Ms. Sharon, if you could explain it to me in your words, what is the soft cost under expenses under essential single families? Remind. I mean, I don't know if there's others on the council that know what that is. Am I the only one?
The soft cost is the amount of money that we are reimbursed for the effort that we provide in carrying out the program. So for 600,000, we would receive, on average, that's about 25% of the cost, which is 150,000. That's soft cost that goes back into program income.
And Ms. Frieden, I just want to make sure I understand correctly. And that is money that comes from folks who take out the loans?
No, the program is managed by the state.
Right.
North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. And, you know, our role is to execute the program. And so, you know, for every person that we have, we manage the repairs here. And so they have a line item for whatever the effort is that we're doing for that particular home. For example, the permitting, whatever the effort is, there's a particular charge for that. And so generally speaking, if you, whatever the cost is on average, that's going to be about 25% of the cost of the project. So for a $40,000 repair, that's going to be about $10,000. The North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. So it's part of that total 600,000 that you see there. Okay.
Any other questions?
Ms. Sharon, what did you say that was?
Can only be used for Cumberland County.
Any other questions?
Yes. Is this,
Barfield.
this portion that you're saying is for Cumberland County, is this for Native Americans only? Is this what it's geared towards, Native Americans only, or?
No, this is, the program is open.
This is the open program.
So it's open to other races? Okay.
Do we have any other questions? To sound somewhat like Mr. Ricky Burnett, seeing none, hearing none. Thought you'd like that. Ms. Secretary, if we could get a roll call vote, please.
And I need to note to the council that on these particular ordinances, you will see the vice chair signing on behalf of Speaker Ricky Burnett. Just so you know. Carvecas Barfield.
Yes.
Sharon Hunt. Yes. Janie McFarland.
Yes.
Ted Woodell.
Abstain.
Wendy Moore, yes. Jared Lowry.
Yes.
Larry Chavis.
Yes.
Douglas Locklear. Reginald Oxendine.
Yes.
Jan Lowry.
Yes.
Alvin Mercer.
Yes.
Corbin Eddings.
Yes.
Dewey McNeil.
Yes.
Marshall Locklear.
Yes.
Frank Cooper.
Yes.
Annie Taylor. Michael Chavis.
Yes.
Terry Hunt.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Next on our agenda, we'll hear from the Health and Human Services Committee. We have an ordinance coming from that committee, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Marshall Locklear.
Good evening. This is CLLR-2019-0418-01. Whereas a 3 to 7 year implementation research study proposal led by the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, Ethos Excel Inc., and Community Campus Partnerships for Health is requesting for support of a grant application to be submitted to the National Institute of Health. Whereas if funded, the grant will explore different strategies to prevent and control heart and lung disease among Lumbee Indians and African Americans who live in rural North Carolina counties. Whereas the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina's administration, Health Committee, and Lumbee Health Board will be involved in planning and decision-making regarding the implementation of this grant as it pertains to the Lumbee membership. Whereas the Lumbee Tribe Administration, Council's Health Committee, and Lumbee Health Board will take part of recommend individuals to become North Carolina partners engaged in the implementation, whereas the Lumbee Tribe's Administration, Council Health Committee, and Lumbee Health Board will provide recommendations and facilitate strategies for local health providers and medical practices to work more effectively with the Lumbee membership to have better understanding and care for their health conditions. Whereas all research tools, including paper surveys or collection of bodily fluids collected from the Lumbee membership used in this project must be pre-approved by the Lumbee Tribe Administration, Council's Health Committee, and Lumbee Health Board. Whereas all data, reports, and publications collected and created by the project will be monitored, reviewed, and shared with the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina. Whereas all publications regarding this grant findings will be approved by the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina Administration, Council Health Committee, and Lumbee Health Board before publication. Therefore, be it resolved, the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina's Administration Council, Health Committee, and Lumbee Health Board support the grant application titled North Carolina Partners Engaged in Implementation, NC Peers, Disparities, Elimination through Coordinated Interventions to Prevent and Control Heart and Lung Disease Risk, Decipher.
Thank you, Dr. Locklear.
You're welcome.
Coming from the Health and Human Services Committee, this resolution does not. Second, is there any discussion at this time? Ms. Lowry.
Just one small edit on the second page, second whereas, end of that sentence, it should say created by the project will.
And for everyone on the second page of that resolution, the second whereas, whereas all data, reports, and publications collected and created by the project The next word should be will be. Any other questions or comments?
Comment.
Dr. Oxendine.
Speaker, I was here the night they did the presentation. I think they did a great presentation and well needed. Anything that promotes better health of our Indian people, I think we need it. Also want to chime in on that industries or corporations that want to be a detriment to our Indian people in terms of health care, we need to strongly be involved in that as well. Sorry to hear that they were going to close the health center here in town, but now I have heard that they're going to continue to keep it open. I think as a council, we need to monitor that situation, but I do believe anything that's going to help the health care of our folks in the tribe, we need to be a part of it.
Thank you, Dr. Oxendine. Any other questions or comments? Secretary, if you would, roll call vote, please.
Carvecas Barfield. Sharon Hunt.
Yes.
Janie McFarland.
Yes.
Ted Woodell.
Yes.
Wendy Moore, yes. Jared Lowry.
Yes.
Larry Chavis.
Yes.
Douglas Locklear. Reginald Oxendine.
Yes.
Jan Lowry.
Yes.
Alvin Mercer.
Yes.
Corbin Eddings.
Yes.
Dewey McNeil.
Yes.
Marshall Locklear.
Yes.
Frank Cooper.
Yes.
Annie Taylor. Michael Chavis.
Yes.
Terry Hunt.
Yes.
Unanimous. Motion carries.
Moving on, our next order of business is the ordinance coming out of Economic Development Committee. Did we get copies of that information? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't remember seeing mine. At this time, I'll turn that over to the chair of that committee for the reading, Mr. Jared Lowry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. CLLO 2019-0321-01, Lumbee Tribe Holding Incorporated Financial Quarterly Reporting Requirements was passed by the Tribal Council on March 21st in a 19-0 vote. On April 3rd, it was vetoed by the chairman. And we have a veto message, and I want to know if it's the will of the committee to read the veto message or call for a vote. But this is, and Mr. Speaker, I asked this because I've never done a veto override before. So is it practice to read the veto message, or do we just call for the vote?
Is there an objection to reading a veto message? Yes, sir, you can.
I will read the veto message. Pursuant to the power this is the veto message by the chairman. It says, pursuant to the power vested in me by Article 7, Section 1 of the Lumbee Tribal Constitution, I hereby veto Tribal Ordinance CLLO 2019-0321-01, Lumbee Tribe Holdings Incorporated Financial Quarterly Reporting Requirements. I'd like to make it clear that this administration strongly supports transparency and reasonable financial reporting. However, the ordinance as written is unreasonable and unduly burdensome to Lumbee Tribal Holdings Incorporated and makes unreasonable and impermissible demands on Lumbee Tribal Enterprises, LLC. As such, the proposed ordinance is not proper. The financial reporting, transparency, and oversight the committee seeks and is rightly entitled to is possible to achieve in other, more appropriate ways. Information that could potentially jeopardize the business interests of the Lumbee Tribe and privately owned companies that should not be made available to the public. LTE is a private and closely held company governed by the laws of the state of North Carolina. The proposed ordinance overreaches in its attempts to require a private company to make public the listed information. The required information could include sensitive information such as account numbers, vendors, customer and employee information that is not available for public inspection, making LTE vulnerable to its competitors. In addition, information like privilege, labor rates, confidential contracts, trade secrets, and client names may be included in the documents requested. If the information was inappropriately shared, it could put LTE at risk of being assigned penalties and possible loss or withdrawal of contracts. A more appropriate plan would be for LTH to provide the tribal council treasurer quarterly financial statements compiled by the independent certified public accountant to include LTH's prorated share of the the financial activity of LTE. Council would receive copies of LTH's bylaws and any amendments. There are no operating agreement for LTH. These reports will be provided quarterly. First quarter no later than the May business meeting, second quarter no later than the August business meeting, third quarter no later than the November business meeting, fourth quarter no later than the February business meeting. It is impossible to compile accurate financial reporting in the 2 to 3 week window as outlined in the proposed ordinance, as audited financial statements for LTE will be included as part of the annual audited financial statements of Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina and will continue included each year.
Any discussion, or what's the pleasure of the group?
Mr. Speaker, I would, this isn't a motion, we in discussion at this point.
Yes.
As it is my opinion solely that I think that there are things that are in this ordinance that are proper and things that may be improper. I do think in the veto message there are some things that we should consider. And I would suggest to the council that we have an opportunity this coming up week, maybe Tuesday night, to have a committee meeting with the chairman, with administration officials to hammer out to make this ordinance better and to pass it again. That's just my opinion. I do think we do need transparency in reporting. There's no doubt about it. We all want that. I do think there's valid points that was made, and I think that we should take the opportunity to take that input and make this ordinance better so that for future councils they will receive proper reporting.
Thank you, Councilman Lowry. Ms. McFarland.
This information that is in this veto override, most of those forms are generated monthly. There shouldn't be any problem for us to actually receive this information that was requested.
Any other comments, questions? Mr. Hunt.
Mr. Speaker, what I'm looking at, by what he put in as far as why he vetoed the proposal ordinance, it overreaches our boundary as far as the council. One thing we got to remember, if we got companies working overseas, those companies working overseas a lot of times don't want their names out because of losing contracts. And a lot of times if you got contractors working overseas, they don't want their information put out, because we could jeopardize losing these companies for the Lumbee people as an income. We could jeopardize that. I'm in total agreement with Councilman Lowry as far as let's take it back to the committee and get with the chairman and talk with him, and let's go over this before we jeopardize more than what we really want.
Any other questions or comments? I think Ms. Jan was first.
I just want to say that I don't see what the purpose of the council is anymore when it comes to overseeing the funds that come from LTE to LTH. We don't know what's going on. They keep saying, we've got to work on it to get it right. Money's coming in, and all the money is not coming to the council for us to determine how that money should be spent. And we are not overreaching. I have said many times over the 5 years I've been on this council, our responsibility is to oversee, monitor, and review the money that comes in and out of the council if we don't do anything else. We've lost control. We have no control over what is happening now. Only what's told to us verbally. We've got no documentation of the money that's come in, how it's spent, where it's going. When are we going to get something, guys? I mean, this is serious. You got people in the community wanting to know what is happening with the money and how is it being spent by LTH. And some of this money has been spent in ways that we don't know how it's been spent. If nothing else, during my 5 years on this council, I want to know that the money that comes in and goes out is accounted for.
Next, we had Mr. Frank Cooper and then Ms. Wendy Moore. Ms. Wendy Moore.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want it noted that the tribal council is not the public. We are an equal branch of government, and we are held by oath to secure information that is entrusted with us. Secondly, the information that is given to the LTH is 100% owned by the tribe. There should be no information that is proprietary for anybody on the LTH. The LTE, we're looking at bank statements and so forth. We're not asking for information that would put someone in jeopardy. The only thing that this ordinance does is ask, show me the money.
Mr. Cooper.
Make a motion to send it back to committee.
I second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Ms. Speaker, I would like to offer a secondary motion that we vote on this ordinance because it has already been taken out of committee and it shouldn't be going back to a committee where it either needs to be voted up or voted down.
And I
Don't-
second it.
Okay, we have another motion and a second. Ms. Ann Taylor. Any discussion on the second motion?
Mr. Corbin,
Mr. Cooper.
there's some valid points in statement and Mr. Terry Hunt, and I think we should send it back to committee and take the chairman's work, collaborate with the chairman and tweak this, and then bring it back to council.
The first motion, any further discussion? First motion we'll be voting on is for the veto override, which was brought forward by Ms. McFarland, seconded by Ms. Taylor. If we could get a roll call vote on the veto override.
Secondary motion comes first.
Mr. Speaker, substitute motions are first.
They are first,
I'm sorry,
Substitute motions are voted on first.
which is
the override. The override was the substitute.
Mr. Speaker, can you clarify what the yes and no vote in override
A
means?
yes on, we're voting on a veto override. A yes means that we want to proceed with the ordinance, that we want to override the chairman's veto. A no vote means that you do not want to override the veto. At this time, we'll proceed with the roll call vote on the veto override. Yes is for the override, no is for not overriding the veto. Roll call vote, please.
Carvecas Barfield. Sharon Hunt. Jamie McFarland. Ted Woodill.
Yes.
Wendy Moore, yes. Jared Lowry,
No.
Larry Chavis,
No.
Douglas Locklear, Reginald Oxendine,
Yes.
Jan Lowry,
Yes.
Alvin Mercer,
Yes.
Corbin Eddings,
No.
Dewey McNeil,
No.
Marshall Locklear,
No.
Frank Cooper,
No.
Annie Taylor, Michael Chavis,
Yes.
Terry Hunt,
No.
Ms. Carvecas Barfield.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 yes. We needed 14 votes for it to override.
With our attendance tonight, we needed 13, but the override did fail, and we'll now move to the original motion, which was to send this back to the Constitution and Ordinance Committee. That motion was brought forward by Mr. Frank Cooper and I believe Mr. Terry Hunt.
Yep.
Yes, to send it back to committee. No, basically the ordinance was done. And roll call vote, please.
Carvecas Barfield, Sharon Hunt, Janie McFarland, Ted Woodell,
No.
Wendy Moore, no. Jared Lowry,
Yes.
Larry Chavis,
Yes.
Douglas Locklear, Reginald Oxendine,
Pass.
Jan Lowry,
No.
Alvin Mercer, Corbin Eddings,
Yes.
Dewey McNeil,
Yes.
Marshall Locklear,
Yes.
Frank Cooper,
Yes.
Annie Taylor,
No.
Michael Chavis,
Yes.
Terry Hunt.
Yes.
Going back to Mr. Douglas Locklear, Mr. Reginald Oxendine.
Call the question again.
To send back to committee.
Motion is to send this back to the Constitution and Ordinance Committee. Yes, would send it back. No, motion is done.
Yes.
7 no. 11 yes, the motion carries.
Ordinance CLO 2019-032101 will go back to Constitution and Ordinance Committee. To the Economic Development Committee. It may not always be pretty, we may not always agree, but we'll move forward and continue to work. At this time, we'll move into calendar review.
Mr. Speaker,
That was really fast. Mr. Jerry Lowry.
with that, I'd like to schedule Economic Development Committee meeting for Tuesday, April 23rd,
Time for that, sir?
6:30.
Economic Development, April 23rd at 6:30.
Mr. Speaker, education, 7:30.
Education, the same night, the 23rd, following at 7:30.
Speaker.
Dr. Oxendine.
Constitution ordinance on May the 7th at 6:30.
Constitution Ordinance, May 7th, 6:30. Anyone else?
I have 2 announcements. Next Thursday, April 25th, District 5 will be having their district meeting over at the Two Streams Community Building. We'd like for you guys to come out, join us, and celebrate District 5. And also Dr. Marshall and myself and some of the tribal council are planning to go to Raleigh, North Carolina, to the Capitol to march in the Murdered and Missing Women Indigenous Women's March, May 4th. We have a van available, and if someone would like to come with us, just contact Dr. Locklear or myself.
Mr. Speaker.
1 second, Ms. Taylor. You guys will be leaving Saturday morning at, do we have a time yet or to be determined? To be determined. Ms. Taylor.
Housing, May the 2nd, 6:30.
Housing, May 2nd, Thursday night, 6:30. Anyone else? May the 2nd is, I'm sorry. Yes, May 2nd, housing, 6:30.
May 2nd is the day that we've scheduled for the service for the law enforcement on May 2nd, the night before the
Something at the
powwow.
Cultural Center that night.
I hate to do it on May 1st. Oh,
You can do May 7th.
You're not going anywhere. Go ahead and have it.
probably won't.
Housing, May 7th at 7:30.
Can I make a recommendation? Rather than canceling meetings, we have vice chairman for each committee. I would suggest that in lieu of the fact, if a chairman's going to be absent from a meeting, please do not cancel your meeting because you can't be there. That's expressly why a vice chair was elected. So I would encourage you to make sure we meet our dates.
Any other? Mr. Larry Chavis.
District 6 is going to be having their community meeting from 6 to 8 at the Boys and Girls Club here in Pembroke. All District 6 come out and be with us.
It's on May 9th. Is there anything else? One other item, I did want to just reiterate the playground building, April 24th. That's an all-day affair. I believe we can arrive at 8, 9 in the morning. What would that time be?
If you are going to volunteer, we'd ask that you check on the tribe's website. There's a link to an Eventbrite, and that way we can keep a track of the number of volunteers who are coming. But I believe it's at 8:30, Amy? 8:30 or 9? The building. 9 a.m.
Coffee will be provided. I was told Ann Ben Gay as well. Ms. Lowry.
I have a general question. Is it a liability if we have volunteers who come out and do physical work at the cultural center? With insurance in the event some of the volunteers are hurt?
You mean with regards to the build date?
To the what?
We've already cleared that with the insurance company.
So any event that you have and you're asking community volunteers?
We generally have waivers that are on file, have everyone sign waivers, and the insurance company is notified anytime we're doing that kind of thing.
A waiver of?
Waiving, releasing us from all liability if anything should happen.
If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor, let it be known by standing. And I would ask Mr. Terry Hunt, if he would mind, leading us in a benediction.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, dear Lord, for giving us this day. Dear Lord, we thank you for watching over each and every one of us, dear Lord. Dear Lord, as we go through this day, dear Lord, we ask you to continue to be with us, help us and guide us, dear Lord. Dear Lord, we thank you for everyone that's able to attend this meeting tonight, dear Lord. And we ask you to be with those that are sick and in the hospital, dear Lord, and the ones that's lost loved ones. We ask you to comfort them, dear Lord, as they go through their day. Dear Lord, as we go on our journey tonight on home, dear Lord, watch over us and protect us. Thank you again, dear.
Amen. Everyone have a good evening. Thank you for being here.